Here we are at Ellington Field, which is just down the road from NASA's Johnson Space Center, and the place where we have our aircraft operations, including the landing strip where we conduct our zero-G gravity flights for tests of different science experiments and other things, including, as you can see, spacesuits, as with our third guest here. To tell us today about the spacesuits is we have Phillip Hooper, who is a member of the crew survival team and one of the group that's working on the spacesuit we see here in front of us. So thanks so much for joining us, Phillip.
You're welcome.
So this looks a little familiar, kind of like a shuttle launch and entry suit. Is that correct?
It should look very familiar to people. It's virtually the identical suit that we flew on shuttle. We took some things and made some architectural changes to it to change it from what we call a open loop system to a closed loop system. On the shuttle system, there was a pressure controller that would control the pressure of the suit, and as that vented, it would dump everything to the environment. The shuttle had a huge supply of consumables. That's something that with the modified ISS flying on Orion, it will not have those. They won't have those huge consumables to them. So we've taken it and made it a closed loop system where you have a hose that comes in and out, and all that air gets, as it's controlling the pressure by an onboard system, it takes that and washes the CO2 out that the individual in the suit is breathing.
But it's for use on Orion, which of course is the new vehicle that we're working on to take us eventually into deep space. So,
yes.
A little bit different requirements than the shuttle suit, but we were able to kind of make use of what we already have and save taxpayers some money.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. The overwhelming majority of this suit is the hard goods, or the most expensive. We replace the soft goods on a periodic basis anyway, and so being a funds challenge time, and we looked at ways that we could leverage off our existing designs and make some simple modifications and fly a good suit, hopefully with some mobility changes and stuff that we're looking at making later.
So launch and entry suits, that's not what we conduct spacewalks in. It's not that kind of spacesuit, right? Tell us a little bit about what those do.
The launch and entry suits?
Well, and this suit as well. And how they're
this
similar.
suit is mainly meant for IVA capability. That's inside the cabin. Okay. On shuttle, it was actually made for a bailout. Here we're looking, because there aren't any EVA requirements that we have been identified yet. It would mainly be an IVA requirement, and we want to have some limited mobility to it, such in the event the cabin depressurizes, that they're able to do some basic things such as ingress the seat and some minimal mobility requirements to climb around and be able to strap themselves into the seat.
Okay.
So,
but they wouldn't wear this all the time when they were inside, right?
They would wear it pre-launch and just in case of an emergency,
right.
where
most of the time they could just wear shirt sleeves.
Yes, that's correct.
But they would get this on if something happened unexpected, or when they were launching or coming back to Earth?
That's correct. Or if there was an emergency where they might have to, where a cabin depressurization occurred, where they would have to don it quickly and then get ingressed into the seat and strapped in a semi-safe manner.
So what does that mean that this suit has to do?
This suit basically protects you against the lower atmospheric pressure in event of a depressurization, because at a altitude that is very high or low in barometric pressure, your blood will actually begin to boil.
Which you want to
avoid. And that's what we're trying to prevent.
Absolutely.
In this case with this suit.
So we say a lot when we're talking about the spacewalking spacesuits that they're kind of their own space vehicle. Is that true of a suit like this, or?
The spacewalking suits are a very complicated suit because of the mobility requirements. They have bearings in almost all of the joints, and this suit, because it was mainly meant to just protect you against a low pressure environment, it has some good mobility in the legs and the arms, and you can see the bearings here in the neck ring and the helmet. But it wasn't meant to do complex requirements. And now for Orion, we are looking at increasing with some of the joints some increased mobility tasks, because there have been some scenarios identified where they might do a little bit more over and above than was the requirement for shuttle in terms of mobility. So.
But for the most part, they just need to be able to sit in a seat and reach all of their controls, things like that?
Get in the suit and hopefully make it a reasonably comfortable event, and do some minimal mobility events, yes.
And that's what y'all are testing this week, I think.
Yes,
how well it moves.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
One of our main objectives was the seat ingress requirement that I explained to you, and that is one of the things that we verified, that you can in fact get in the seat. Once you're in the seat, it's challenged whether you could actually strap yourself in, but...
And we have a seat here behind us to show you what they have to get into, right? It's pretty narrow, and this is kind of, not as bulky as a spacewalking spacesuit, but not small either. You have to...
That is actually the current baseline of the seat right now, so it's a very high-tech version of what we think it's going to look on Orion.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think we're going to have another chat with another team member later and see some of the footage from the zero gravity test that they conducted this week. So we'll talk to you a little bit later.